I've never met a quilter who doesn't love to visit a new quilt shop. There's always something new, whether it be fabric or patterns or designs. It's hard to resist. Well, I just got back from a family road trip up through Maryland and into Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And we visited the Amish community. And oh my goodness, the Amish are so well known for their beautiful quilts. And I visited 3 shops, and I have pictures, and I want to show everything to you, not to mention the fabric I brought home with me. I'm Louise from Inspired Quilting by Louise, and this was such fun. You're going to love these quilts. And the layout of the shop, things are a little different than what we might be used to, but it's beautiful and it's great fun. So join me, let me show you. We just returned from a wonderful trip to Maryland and Pennsylvania, and when everyone was excited to visit Lancaster County in order to see the quilt shops, you know I was excited. Well, not just quilt shops, but the Amish community in general, which was lovely. We had a fantastic time. And so I want to show you what I saw in these quilt shops. Our first store is Bird in Hand Fabric, and this was the only store in the area that we visited that actually sold fabrics. The other shops sold finished quilts and quilted items, which were beautiful. But notice the sign, lots of batiks. You know, this was my favorite. And look at that front door, the entryway. Oh my goodness, so sweet, with the flowers and the beautiful porch, and of course, quilts in the windows. When you enter the store, an Amish quilt store, you're going to see 2 different sides of the store, different kinds of fabrics. The Amish population uses solids and more dark, subdued colors than the bright, bold colors we quilt with. And so they have a plain side in the store where they get their clothing material, and then they have the fancy side. And this is where all the bright, bold, graphic printed quilt fabrics are that we're used to. And you see across the top all the little quilts and the pieces. There's nothing in here that you cannot get that you need. Everything you need to make a quilt is available in this shop, and it is wonderful. They have so much. The outer wall, that back wall there, has all the more traditional quilting fabrics, whereas the back of the island there has all the batiks, and you know that's where I was. But look over here close to the side, we've got fat quarters, layer cakes, jelly rolls, and more fat quarters over here. There were just some wonderful, wonderful pieces, and of course the big cutting table. And here's a view from the back of the store looking to the front. So you have our plain side over here, and then the fancy side is over behind this quilt. It was a lot of fun. They had lots of, you know, fabrics tucked in different places and patterns, and oh my goodness, they had a lot to choose from. And this door went into the back room. Primarily, this was panels. I did not realize how many panels are available today, but for making panel quilts, but also the soft quilted books, the panel books, or what do we call those, activity books, but for adults too, that need, you know, something to keep their hands busy. And they had some wonderful options, and of course, more fabric, more quilts on the wall, and over here they had lots of novelty prints that were a lot of fun. And here we are looking at the back wall of the quilt side on the fancy side, and you can see all the floral fabrics and a beautiful little tote bag, and you see Riley Blake. They had all the brands that I expected. I bought some anthology batiks and a number of other fabrics. I saw Moda in there, so it was fun. I mean, they lack for absolutely nothing. This store had a lot of beautiful fabric. And here I am looking at batiks. So over here I already had my low volume selected. Now these aren't the batiks. There are a lot of watercolors, and these are just some fun, interesting, more modern prints. But then I found the teal on the other side. So where you can see all these fabrics, that's how many batiks there were on the back. Oh my goodness, it was hard to choose. And I'm telling you, the prices were awesome. I paid less than $10 a yard for these batiks. So you know I'm excited. And then here are more panels, all kinds of panels everywhere. They're great fun. And here's my low volume, and I'm checking out one of the jelly rolls. Oh yeah, all that went home with me. But just these beautiful batiks in here and some really fun fabrics mixed in. Oh, there was a lot to choose from. Check this out. My colors, I love it, tucked away in the corner. And you know, it's a strip piece that you cut and remake into a new block and repiece it. It's just right up my alley. But this is what I love too, is this sweet little basket with the handles. What do we call the canvas woven handles? And this is made out of ticking, pillow ticking. I believe that's what it is, but it's a real sturdy cotton, and this is just wonderful. And I thought it was great to look at, and you know, the singer, and just, you know, just a wonderful little quilt shop. And here we are leaving, and look, we had a little buggy going by. I thought that would be fun to include for you to see the family traveling to the other end of town. And as we drove to the next quilt shop, just the scenery was beautiful. All these farms just dotting the hillsides, and everything is growing and green and bright and just beautiful. Oh my goodness. And here's the second quilt shop. This was wonderful. This was actually at a family home. Their farm is where they also have the quilt shop, and they make a lot of furniture and gifts, but I just thought this was wonderful with the quilts hanging outside. Of course, the laundry in the back. It was just a lovely sight to see. And here we are at the quilt shop entrance, and it's called the Lance Homestead, and they have lots of furniture that they build and sell, and I want to take you inside. Look at this. Oh my goodness. As I said, they mostly sell quilted items that are ready to go. They're finished and completed, and they're all handmade, hand quilted. They're absolutely stunning. The handwork is spectacular. And there were just racks and racks and racks. And some of these racks have 2 and 3 quilts on them. But you can see the variety and all the patterns. And pillows are everywhere. But I want to show you this background quilt. Look at that. Oh my goodness, with the diamonds. I just thought that was so beautiful. I love that pattern. And on the opposite side of the room, there was a bed with this beautiful quilted wall hanging. And again, lots of pillows, and the quilts just go wall to wall. And look at that up close. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love the colors. I love the prints. And that pattern just sets it off perfectly. And again, you can see all this is hand quilted, and it's beautiful. And lap quilts. So they had a section separate for the lap quilts and the throw size. And again, you can see just all the variety and patterns and quilt styles, designs that they use. I really liked this. Those colors are pretty. And here's wall hangings, which is great fun. They had quite a few throughout the store, but this is what really caught my eye. I love this postage stamp, and I like the design layout. I've done a few postage stamp blogs, and I've not really gone far with it because I didn't want a whole quilt. This is just too much. It's just too busy for me, but I like the way this is laid out. That might be on my list to do. And look at this. Oh my goodness, this is the third shop that we went into, but look at that quilt with those colors. They're beautiful, and a little matching throw, I presume, as well as some pretty pillows. Oh my goodness. And you can peek inside there. You see lots of tote bags and pot holders and placemats and things of that nature. But there's one wall that I really am excited to show you. Look at this, Quillows. Remember the Quillows? Oh my goodness, I made so many of these. Well, maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I first discovered them, but all these are Quillows. That means you can fold out a quilt that's wrapped up inside. So when you pull the quilt out, you can put it over your lap to keep warm, and this little pillow is perfect for tucking your feet in. And then when you finish, you fold the quilt back up, tuck it in the pillow, it's like an envelope of sorts, and there you are. You have a pillow to put on your couch for the next time. I hope you enjoyed these photos. Right now, though, I'm going to show you the fabric I bought. Oh my goodness, I love it. It turned out perfect. I'm really excited about the great fabric that I found while I was visiting the Bird and Hand Quilt store, and it's a beautiful place, and they had some great fabrics. And of course, I always have to pick up some low volume. And I particularly like this one because it has the printed music on there. And it's kind of pale in color, very subtle, not a high contrast, but it just looks wonderful. Pieces of it throughout a quilt. I really like that a lot. And then this, what I like, is the creamy background with a graphic print on top. It was towards the end of the bolt, so it's a bit wrinkled. I guess both sides look about the same, but I like the sort of organic lines. They're not angled, but they're not perfectly circular. They sort of go this way and that, not unlike stippled quilting. So it's kind of fun, and it has a bit of that green, so that'll go great in blue and green quilts, and it'll match up with a lot and coordinate well. And this is pretty much the same color, but in reverse, where the background has color and the design is white. And then, of course, you get some of the darker gradation throughout, which really makes it pretty. And again, I really like circular and organic lines, things that aren't perfectly straight, unless, of course, that's what I'm doing, because a lot of the graphic quilts, I really like that look. But generally speaking, this is more what I tend to gravitate towards. And who can pass up a pretty floral? And so this one is sort of a tannish, beigey color with just a hint of green in there with roses. You can see the roses in the white fabric, and I think that just looks wonderful. And now we start getting into some color. This is great fun. I love the colors throughout. So we sort of have this goldish yellow that mixes in with some orange, a little bit of pink, and we've got green, and it just looks wonderful. There's so many different colors in there that it's going to be a great blender and work well with a lot of fabrics. You know, this might be one of my favorites, and I know I've had this print before, and I believe it's one of the Hoffman prints. I'm not positive, but I think so. And the pinks are wonderful, into the salmon colors, peachy colors, but then we get this little bit of turquoise, and you know, that's the color I fall for all the time. I love it. And then we've got bits of green in here. So it really, again, it's a great blender. It's going to work well with a lot of other fabrics. It has that neutral background. So these colors, while they're on the surface, they create a great design. Overall, from a distance, we see it more as a creamy color fabric. And dots, gotta have some dots. And these are wonderful. So from pink to kind of an orange, but a pale orange. But some of these are darker and lighter colors. And this will be wonderful to work with. So I like that. And these, of course. Now, do you see the chevron pattern in here? I really like that. And what I particularly like is that these darker lines show up sporadically. So we have the blue chevrons with that greenish gray background, but then those gray lines, it just adds a lot of interest to the fabric, and it's going to be beautiful. It'll look wonderful in a quilt, so I'm excited about that. And this is just fun. It makes me think of snowflakes and, you know, doilies and things of that nature. And I like how the little ones overlap the big ones. We have the light aqua getting into the darker purple colors and green. I like lots of colors blended together across the fabric. It just adds so much interest. And this in particular is beautiful. Now we're getting into a bit more color in these backgrounds. So it has an aqua, a bit of a turquoise with green in the background, and the pattern, the print, so to speak, it's like a reverse print, but it's in the white creamy color. And I tend to go towards the creamier fabrics more than the white. Even though this is white, it's more of a subdued white. It's not that bright, stark white. And I like that look. And look how well this goes together. And because we have the whitish colors in there, but all these blues and greens are similar to this, But check out the stripe, and they're kind of the grunge stripe where where we go, where bits of the stripe kind of disappear. I really like the look of that, especially when you use large pieces in a quilt. So this is going to be something special I'll do with them. I'm not quite sure what yet, but it'll be wonderful. Now, have you seen what is it called? The quilt called the row by row quilts. And it's like an old-fashioned sampler where you do a row of one particular, in my case, it was needlework, one stitch or pattern, and then the next one is the same or different, and then you repeat throughout. And that's sort of what this is. And I've seen where they do quilts where there'll be a row of maybe 4 patches and a row of half square triangles and a row of flying geese. And this just, made me think of that. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen that, look up row by row quilts. I think it's a great idea. It's a fun way to put a lot of different blocks together and create a very interesting quilt. And you can set a theme to it either by color or by the pattern that you use. So I think it's really, a fun idea. But I like this. I love the color. I like the batik design on here, and that it's a little bit wonky and not exactly perfect, which is not uncommon with batiks. That's what we expect. And I really like some of these designs, and I think it'll be great. And more dots. Got to have my dots. And I like this. I'm pretty sure I've used this before. It looks very, very familiar to me with the blues and then the greens, but you've got that bit of aqua turquoise in there. And of course, just dots and stripes. They just add so much. I think they're wonderful. And here's a piece I really like. Again, the background is sort of a watercolor, kind of a wash of blues with a little bit of green, and it sort of puddles into darker places. But then you've got this great contrast with the pinks that go into almost a burgundy purple and some yellows that go into orange. It's a great piece. So, this square is going to look completely different from this square or that square. And that's what makes it so much fun. It's like having multiple fabrics from one piece. And that can be a lot of interest that you could add to your quilt with that. And more dots, and again, multiple colors from the greens to the blues to the purples. And some are completely saturated. Others are a little bit where the color didn't quite saturate in, but that's the idea, and that's sort of that look that we're going for. And this will be a lot of fun to work with, especially with, oh my goodness, look at this, another stripe. I love it. Look at this. Oh, I just think that is wonderful. It looks very nautical to me. So I'm not quite sure what this will become, this or the other, but they will be something wonderful. And then this piece, this was the very first piece of fabric I picked out. I like this because I enjoy making some of my modern quilts with black and white. And it can either be white with the black graphics or the reverse. I use both in the same quilts. And I picked this up and I thought, ooh, I think it was like $16.99 or something a yard. And I'm going, that's expensive. But then I noticed it's 108 inches wide. So I can actually use this to back one of my quilts. So I'm excited about that. This will work out beautifully. Now, I did get some other bits and pieces that I want to show you. I got this jelly roll, and I'm going to take it out of the plastic. And here's my jelly roll. It's called Vitamin C, SEA, and it's very beachy with seashells, and it looks like a lot of foliage and such in here. I'm going to peek at it without completely opening it. And so we have a lot of these beachy colors and seashells. And it looks like these are similar, but there's some graphics. They're a little bit different in design. And I like the concentric circles, which are a lot of fun. And then this looks like, is it coral maybe? Or seaweed, or just some fun underwater plant life perhaps. And then this, these colors are great. I love how pretty they are. Look at that. with these pale greens, and then we get into some darker greens. And this is a pretty blue. And this has almost like a marble effect, watercolor, but with that marble lining in there. And so it looks like there's 2 to 3 pieces of each of these. And there's some green with blue mix, which is pretty. And a creamy color, but it's not a solid. These are all batik, so there's multiple colors, and there's flecks of gold in here. And then we get into this darker blue, kind of an indigo blue that looks real nice. And what do we have here? Kind of a green and a turquoise green. And then we get into some darker greens. Oh, those will be fun to work with. I like that color group a lot. And again, the price on this is a 40 strip jelly roll that was $29. And I was really impressed with the deals I felt I was getting. They weren't on sale. This was just the way they were going. Now the fat quarters are on sale. They were usually $2.50 on sale for $2. I love this print. This is a watercolor, and I found 3 pieces. I couldn't find the bolt. Otherwise, I would have bought a bunch of them. But I have 3/4 of a yard, which is great. I'll be happy with that. And then this is one of the fabrics I got. There was an extra piece left over, and she gave me an extra section there. And these were a couple other turquoise pieces that I wanted to put into the mix. I have a turquoise quilt that I'm going to be working on. I'm not quite sure how it's going to come together, so I'm just sort of gathering fabrics, and I have an idea of what I want, and then we'll see what comes. These are fun prints. Now this will be great because this is ocean themed signs, fun in the sun, sea, and whatever all these say. I can only see a little bit of each one, like seashells. And so that'll be a fun one to use. And what caught my eye with this one is this light blue background. I don't usually use quilts with animals. This has little bunnies in there that are cute, and some, like thistle and clover and pretty little leaves. But I just like the look of it, and I thought there could be something good there. And then I found these garden pieces. I really liked these. And the gardens with all the pots and the flowers, and we've got a shovel in there, and it looks like a bird on a bird's nest. And these are just potted plants and pretty little daisy-like flowers. And this I just liked because of the bicycle. So they're just some really fun prints that I've not seen before, or that I've not used before. So I'm excited about that. And the last thing I bought was this cute little pattern. And it's not a brand new pattern. It's been around a while. It was, revised 10 years ago. But I really liked the look of these bags. And it's done in a very interesting way. You make it with jelly rolls, and you put batting inside the jelly roll, sew it over, and then run strips together so that it's almost like a tubular fabric put together, and you zigzag all this together. And I just think it sounds fun. It's something very different. And of course, I love this fabric. I think sometimes I buy patterns because I like the fabrics on the cover. But this is a bag I would make. I love hobo bags, and this is something that would be easy and simple to do. So that's what I have. And there's a lot here to work with. I have some great ideas of what I want to make, and I'm just really, really excited. These are some beautiful fabrics, and I just wanted to share with you, the great selection. And sometimes when you go to a shop that's, outside your area, you're going to find completely different fabrics. And like I said, at this shop, one of the big things that they really had a lot of were panels. And you could either get panels for quilts, but also the panels to make books, and some for dolls, which I think is a lot of fun. So, when you see a quilt store and you're out and about and you haven't been there, stop in and see what they have. You never know what you can find. So we've got a lot of quilting ahead of us. I can't wait to show you what I make with some of these fabrics. It'll take me a while to get through them, but it's going to be a great challenge. I appreciate you being with me today and sharing all this and letting me tell you a little bit about the journey we took and the great time we had and the wonderful finds that I have. I hope you've been inspired and are ready to get out and do some quilting on your own. Find some fabrics that you love and start putting it together. Have a wonderful day. As always, it's my pleasure to be here with you and to share with you. Thank you so much. Enjoy.